One of the most transformational discoveries of the past 100 years was that we humans have the capability to generate new neurons and create new pathways after birth and outside of adolescence as fully grown, intelligent walking apes. But just because we can doesn't mean it just happens. Yo, what is up? Welcome back to another week of How to Health. My name is Kevin. I run liftandbalance.com, where we take aim at all things health and do it in an odd, weird, interesting, and highly sarcastic manner. Today, we're going to talk about 3 things, and believe me, there's more, that can help you elevate your 5-pound mushy membrane to a cellular and metabolic efficiency that it has never seen before, or in quite some time. These mind-stimulating topics are not a single habit, but more along the lines of underlying cellular mechanisms and pathways that can be upregulated or downregulated in a number of different ways, or with a number of different interventions, which we'll go over. And when given some time, energy, and focus, those Jimmy Neutron brain blasts may become a everyday occurrence. You may want to listen to this one, production team. Just saying. I know. I'm excited too. So let's get into it. The first brain boosting pathway that we want to rev up is BDNF. Brain-Derived Neurotrophic Factor, or BDNF, is kind of like fertilizer for your brain, the non-toxic fertilizer. You see, we have billions of neurons, and BDNF is a protein that, when abundant, keeps them flourishing and strong. And here's how. When BDNF is released, it flips the switch on a number of genes that stimulate the growth of brand new neurons and pathways, while also strengthening the neurons that you already have. Hey Jimmy, you're not looking too smart anymore, buddy. It is a key growth factor for brain plasticity, or the creating of new connections in the brain. One of the reasons explaining why we can continuously learn new things throughout life, and not just as a child, just like you're learning right now, hopefully. And the benefits don't stop there. It also keeps you mentally alert and plays a key role in memory as well. But here's the thing. As we get older, our levels of BDNF naturally decline, a process that can be accelerated when combined with a lot of the subpar lifestyle habits that prevail through Western society, contributing to higher rates of mental illness, obesity, and even paving the way for neurodegenerative disease. Yikes. But lucky us, BDNF happens to be something that we can modulate pretty well with lifestyle. With just a few strategic daily habits, you can stimulate the release of more BDNF, keeping your brain more resilient and priming it to grow stronger in efficiency. A lot of these habits include what I like to call good stress, aka things that kind of suck when you're doing them, but stimulate a long-term beneficial effect at the cellular level. Here's a few of some of the most well-known BDNF boosters. First, exercise, which may be the most potent one we have. Research has shown that exercise releases a protein called FNDC5 and can increase BDNF by 200 to 300%, with one study showing men who cycled daily for 3 months nearly quadrupled BDNF. Damn. Next, we have phytonutrients and antioxidants. Many compounds found in fruits and vegetables have been shown to stimulate the release of BDNF, while protecting the brain from future stress. Coffee, green tea, dark chocolate, blueberries, and colorful veggies are all excellent sources. Then we have intermittent fasting, or eating your meals in fixed windows, typically 10 hours or less over a 24-hour period, or a day. Animal models of intermittent fasting have shown slower progression of neurodegenerative disease in fasting mice compared to their ad libitum, or eat whenever they want, counterparts, highlighting that fasting mice had higher levels of BDNF and suggesting that intermittent fasting can boost production of this protein and therefore protect against brain atrophy. And lastly, we have an easy one. Sunlight and nature. Research has shown that simple sun exposure can increase BDNF, while time outdoors has been associated with a healthier brain structure in the most cognitive part of our brain, the prefrontal cortex, which we cover in depth here. Who would have guessed that interacting with the environment that we've evolved in for hundreds of thousands of years could be so beneficial? Now, there are also BDNF inhibitors. Yes, inhibitors. Things that have shown to block BDNF production include chronic stress, excess refined carbohydrates, sedentary lifestyle, and social isolation, all of which are mainstays in the modern Western lifestyle. And speaking of sugar, let's move on to mechanism number 2, insulin resistance. Let's talk numbers. Production team's favorite thing. 88% of the US population is thought to have some sort of metabolic dysfunction. Dysfunction that is preventing them from operating efficiently at the cellular level. Dysfunction that the majority of the population have no clue is happening. And as we learn more about the underlying drivers and first signs of this dysfunction, insulin resistance, or a condition that impairs our cells from responding properly to one of the most critical hormones of energy regulation, insulin, is beginning to become a common theme. Insulin acts as the key that enables glucose uptake into our cells, establishing it as a critical growth signal throughout the body. The problem is, too much growth isn't always a good thing. And when combined with cellular dysfunction driven by poor lifestyle habits, like eating excessive carbohydrates and staying very sedentary, our cells, including our neurons, become less sensitive to the hormone itself, driving up the production of more insulin by the pancreas and causing chronically high insulin levels. This is a common condition known as hyperinsulinemia, and it has a not so pretty list of downstream effects throughout the body and brain. Some notable ones include higher blood pressure, impaired vascular function, mitochondria dysfunction, neuroinflammation, decreased neurogenesis and brain plasticity, depression, which we cover here, and higher risk of neurodegenerative disease. Yeah. And this was just a short list. Its connections to metabolic disease are long and growing. And when you add the fact that studies have estimated that at least 1 in 3 adults are walking around this beautiful floating rock with insulin resistance, aka an impaired metabolic and biochemical state without even knowing it, all of a sudden, it's not surprising that research indicates about 40% of the population with mood disorders are insulin resistant. When our cellular and metabolic efficiency is compromised, so are our minds. So here's how you get more insulin sensitive. For the broader population without any predisposed genetic factors, lifestyle habits are huge. Here's a list to consider. First, real food, rather than the more common, ultra-processed, highly refined options. This will mitigate cellular stress, reduce inflammation, improve glucose tolerance, and provide a lot of brain-boosting nutrients, like those phytonutrients we talked about before. Next, exercise. You see a common theme here? Not only does moving your badonkadonk provide an immediate feel-good neurochemical boost, but you also set the stage for muscle growth, especially if it's some type of resistance training. And muscle is one of the biggest storage destinations for glucose. Generally speaking, the more muscle mass you have, the more insulin sensitive tissue you have. And more often than not, the better ability you have to keep insulin levels in check. Then we have, once again, fasting. Intermittent fasting has shown to improve both glucose tolerance and insulin sensitivity in both human and animal models. Now, there are a lot of different fasting protocols out there, and some work better than others for certain individuals. So check out this fasting field guide if you need help identifying the right protocol for you. Another cool thing that intermittent fasting does is it increases one's metabolic flexibility, aka their ability to transition from a carbohydrate burning state to a fat burning state with ease. Something that is impaired in the broader population because of lifestyle and eating habits. Lastly, we have meal timing, or what times during the day you consume your foods, which, as we talked about here, can have a big impact. Eating at the wrong time of the day can throw insulin sensitivity all out of whack. One reason being the inhibitory effect of hormones like melatonin on the pancreas's beta cells. or those cells that actually produce the insulin. So aiming to eat your meals during the daytime or early evening tends to correlate with better insulin sensitivity throughout your body. It's also important to point out that there are also some medications that can help out, but that is a conversation for you and your doctor. When we step back and take a look at the data, all signs point to fixing insulin resistance as a necessary task to fix one's metabolic health. The good news is a lot of the habits that promote these 3 brain boosters are the same. Talk about getting a bang for your buck. Yeah, what was that, production team? Did we talk about what? Oh, number 3. You're gonna wanna stay awake for this one. The last brain boosting habit that we're talking about today is sleep. The simplest yet most difficult brain hack on the market. It may sound vague, and you probably already do it, or you definitely already do it, or you'd be dead, but chances are you're not doing it as well as you could. This is such a cool and important topic that we have a fully loaded How to Sleep playlist breaking down everything you need to know. But here are some ways that it specifically pertains to boosting your brain. Good, high-quality sleep has been associated with improved insulin sensitivity. And wouldn't you know it, poor sleep quality has been associated with low BDNF. Remember that brain-boosting protein from before? Yeah. What else? Well, research has indicated that a single night of sleep deprivation increases the prevalence of the neurotoxic protein amyloid beta by upwards of 5% the next day, leaving one's 5-pound mushy membrane just a tad bit inflammatory and foggy the next day. Imagine the effects of a full week of poor sleep, or a month, or a year, or a life. Definitely not putting yourself in a position to win, aka operate efficiently. But what happens when we get good sleep? Well, the exact opposite. It cleans the brain, washing out that neurotoxic waste that accumulates as a byproduct of being awake. And it does this through a recently discovered detoxification system called the glymphatic system, which is a function of deep, slow-wave sleep, where cerebral spinal fluid is squirted up into the brain and cleans the neuronal streets. It's also the time where we consolidate memories and prune the information that we don't need to remember, strengthening neuronal connections and solidifying all of the new important things that we've learned throughout the waking day. This right here makes good sleep one of the best brain boosting mechanisms that we have. Yet, we live in a society that is chronically sleep deprived. And even worse, one that takes pride in being sleep deprived. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I feel bad for those people who live their life with the motto, I'll sleep when I'm dead. Because with that attitude, that day will come statistically sooner rather than later. So if there's one thing that you could do to tell your brain you love it, it's probably sleep. And here's the hard truth. Good sleep doesn't just happen. It takes a good strategy and it needs to be customized to you, which we talk all about throughout the How to Sleep playlist. And I'll link some relevant good starting point videos below. But here are some key components. Consistent bed and wake times, even on the weekends. Limiting the artificial light at night, avoiding prescription sleep pills and alcohol, finishing any big meals at least a few hours before bedtime, and building a nightly wind down period to get you ready for the most rejuvenating part of your 24-hour day. This right here is a topic to place some focus on, because good sleep has the power to accelerate anything good and beneficial happening at the cellular level, while poor, sporadic, inconsistent sleep will do the exact opposite, feeding into the nefarious plans of modern disease. And all this right here has sleep guru Dr. Matthew Walker calling sleep one of the best health insurance policies that one could ever wish for. And that insurance most certainly covers the brain. All in all, the cool thing here is that these 3 brain boosting mechanisms build very nicely on top of each other, being driven by a lot of the same lifestyle habits. Habits that when put into action conduct a sweet symphony of neurotrophic music, promoting neuroplasticity, supporting learning, and protecting the integrity of our favorite 5-pound mushy membrane. The only one we got. As we always say, feeling good, refreshed, restored, rejuvenated, energized each and every damn day doesn't just happen. You gotta make it happen. especially when it comes to sharpening your mind. I mean, you remember what it was like to write with a dull pencil in school, right? Actually, kind of like dull pencils.